Hi folks, welcome back to Dungeons and Dry Brushing. Now if you've been paying attention to my previous videos, then you know that there is a Christmas craft that I'm pretty excited about. Well, this is it. Today's the day. Now, if you're like me, and even if you don't celebrate Christmas, there might be one Christmas tradition that you have anyway, and that's taking a look at all of the Christmas Village buildings in the stores and thinking, I can fix that. But of course, then you start to take a closer look, and the problems become a little more apparent. There's too many goofy decorations. It's kind of out of scale, actually, when I look at it. Or, the thing that always throws you off if you're still considering it, you have a look at the price tag. And the amount that they charge for these things, you might as well just go to Etsy and get a 3D printed building that's already perfect for your needs. But that's what second-hand shops are for. I lucked out this year, and I found this. An absolutely massive cathedral that would be perfect for Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm going to be fixing this up. It's going to take a little work, but we're going to make this into a great piece of D&D terrain. Let's get started. The first step, of course, is priming the building in dark gray. I know I've said it before, but I really cannot advocate enough that if you're going to be making buildings, you want to prime in the color that the majority of the building is going to be. It just saves a lot of time and a lot of paint. Naturally, though, I don't want all of the brickwork to be gray, so I chose a dark brown and started to pick out patterns and details in the bricks. I actually liked some parts of the pattern that was originally on the building, so I took a couple of reference pictures and I mimicked parts of it in my own paint job. Next, it's time to paint the roof and the spires on the church. I picked out a cool but intense blue for this, knowing that it would get dulled down a bit in later steps. For big flat surfaces like this, I like to use the biggest brush I can and just kinda go at it. I also paint over all of the lumps of snow on the roof. We'll do more with these later, but this is the first step in disguising them. Next step for me was to paint in the window panes. I mixed a desaturated gray-blue for the glass and just roughly painted them in. That's why I wanted to do those before the frames of the windows. This way we can just paint over any mistakes and we don't have to be too precious about things. Now, this is where it got kind of tedious. It was time to pick out all of the window frames and the dark brickwork around them. But there are a lot of windows, and on this kind of ceramic sculpt, it's not always very clear where the details begin and end. So it took a lot of time to get them completely painted, and I had to go back and forth a few times to refine the details. And it really is a lot of windows. This almost became a video about how to repair a ceramic building after you throw it at the wall. With our base coats done, that brings us to dry brushing. The entire building is going to get a dry brush of Dove Gray. This is an off-white leaning towards blue. That's going to help us draw out some of the details, but it's also going to keep the cold color scheme that we have going. And we'll use this on the walls, the window frames, the roof, everything. Now for everyone's favorite part. Liquid Magic, a bit of homemade black wash. This one is just black acrylic paint, tap water, and a bit of dish soap.
Like the previous step, I just apply it all over the entire building, top to bottom. This is going to shade the recesses, but also dull the colors down a little bit so that they all blend together better. Now this step will take a little while to dry, so once you've got your wash on, you can walk away for a little bit. Eat a candy cane, snoop under the tree, shake a present maybe. Once the first layer of wash was partially dry, I decided to come back in and just add some green wash as well. The exact same recipe, but with green paint instead of black. And I'll only be using this on the bottom 2 inches of the building. This is the first step in our weathering process, making it look a little mossy and algae covered. It's a subtle effect on its own, but we're going to be building on it later.
Okay guys, we're off to a pretty good start. Now, it's time to cover up the unfortunate lumps of snow. For that we're going back to our moss recipe. Just a bunch of different colors of flock and a whole lot of PVA glue.
So our moss texture is going to go over anywhere on the building that had one of those lumps of snow. The reference pictures that I mentioned earlier, those come in handy for this as well. But you don't have to stop there, you can sort of just smear it on anywhere you think is going to look good, or that you want to break up the color a little more. This is also the first hint of warmth and life we're bringing into our color scheme, and it helps to create a nice contrast. And yes, I absolutely do end up using my fingers to apply most of this. It would be one thing if it were chemical or dangerous, but sometimes the best thing you can do is just get in there and use your hands.
Okay, so with our moss in place, I feel like this is looking pretty good. It's coming together. I was a little worried in the middle part, but we're in the home stretch now. We could actually just leave it here if you want it to be finished with your craft. But there's one more thing I want to do.
This is a package of different dried mosses. I picked this up at a craft store for about $10, and it's probably more moss than I'm going to use in my entire lifetime. But it can be safely applied to buildings and crafts with just a little bit of tacky glue. This really completes the abandoned, overgrown sort of look that I'm going for.
Alright, now that our glues are dried, that's basically it. Time to take some glamour shots. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'm so hyped with how this turned out, super excited about it. I can't wait to put it down on the table and use it in my game. Thank you for watching the video. Please hit like and subscribe. I have big hopes to grow the video in the new year. Lots of big plans, bigger projects, hopefully better camera equipment, better sound, and better editing software, because what I'm using now, it ain't it. But either way, thank you so much for all of your support so far, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.